Hogstye.
Hey everybody, it's Alex and Steve here with you on the Hogstye. I hope you had a nice little bye-week break. I hope you recharged the old batteries there, Steve, and are back and ready for 9 more games of Washington football here. I had an interesting thing. I spent yesterday on the top of a building in D.C. Let's just say on the mall. I mean, you know where I work. I think some people know where I work, but
yes.
I was on top of a building, climbing scaffolding, installing a microwave dish. Which
hopefully you were wearing proper PPE and you were strapped in and all that stuff.
Let's say I was.
Let's pretend.
Yes. Let's just say it wasn't a very high scaffolding. So I wasn't worried about anything serious, but. I have no idea how to install a microwave dish, but the guy who came in and needed to do it was like 90, and so it's like, I'm not letting the 90-year-old man do this. You know, I'm still young. I can climb things.
Was he actually 90, though?
He's got to be in his 80s. He's a nice dude, but he's got to be in his 80s.
I did make the mistake of looking in our comment section for the first of my...
Oh, good God. Why?
It was just on Monday. Whatever day it was, I published my offensive grade, midseason grades.
I think they were yelling at you for something at that
I don't
point.
know. I only checked in the morning, like briefly. I occasionally will check to see if anybody has anything constructive to say, and because they're all morons, they don't. But I did notice everybody mentioning my Lakers and Dodgers winning and all that. I'd just like to point out that I'm not a Lakers fan anymore. Okay, I have not watched basketball for all season for political reasons, so I am not a fan anymore of that. I'd just like to make that known. I am a Dodger fan. I was very excited about my Dodgers.
Yes, congratulations to your Dodgers, of course, again.
But in terms of the NBA, I'm no longer an NBA fan. And as a matter of fact, Alex, I actually wrote the Lakers a letter and mailed them a letter.
Did you type it, like old-timey, or handwrite it?
I don't have a typewriter, so I did it on a computer, and I printed it, and I signed it.
Well, and I meant print it, like on a... Yeah. I didn't know if you took quill to paper or if you
I thought about that. I did think about doing quill to paper, but no, I did mail them a letter describing my reasons for why I'm not a fan anymore. And if I get a snotty letter back from them, I will publish it because they do not know I have a platform. If I get nothing back, this is all I'll say about it. If I get a nice letter back, this is all I'll say about it. But if I get something snotty, it's going on the website.
Okay, that's fine. That I as a 25% owner of the website or whatever, I don't know what our percentage is right now because we haven't heard from Sean.
Let's not go over that right now. Yeah.
Okay. I give you my 25% permission or whatever it is. So,
they'd have to be morons to write a snotty letter back, though,
no,
wouldn't
they? They'll write a very nice template, we're sorry and we hope we can win you back type thing.
If anything, they might do nothing, you know.
That's true.
I addressed it to Jeannie Buss, I'm sure she'll never know, and I'm sure they
I
shred
would have sent it to, Magic Johnson. I don't know who. Is he
Magic's
still with
not
the team?
even... No, Magic's doesn't have an official role with the team anymore.
Oh,
as far as I know.
I thought he was still had an office or something. But
I mean, when they had a big corporate takeover and all that, right? And then Magic was the team president for a blink of an eye, and then
I remember
quit.
That. Yeah.
And then when he quit, he was out.
Oh, okay.
Unless something's happened this year. Again, I don't follow him anymore, so unless something's happened this year.
Well, we're not here to talk about the Lakers.
No, but I've been meaning to mention that.
Yeah, that seems like more of a rant you and Chris could go on for a while on the other show.
I'm addressing an item in the comment section. Be happy. I actually read a couple of them.
Okay. I don't know if they'll be happy about that, but I'm happy about that.
I don't care if they're happy. I'd rather them be unhappy.
I know. All right, let's get to what's been going on with Washington these past couple days since we, haven't talked in a week. The trade deadline came and went. No moves made. I don't know if you were surprised. I wasn't really surprised, Steve, that they couldn't really work something out for Haskins. I mean, that was going to be a tough one to make happen. Little surprised that Kerrigan didn't get traded. I would say maybe 15% of me thought that would happen. But I'm very surprised they hadn't made any moves whatsoever to maybe bring in a receiver or anything like that.
I was very unsurprised about any of it. I
Yeah.
never expected them to trade Haskins. I never expected them to trade Ryan Kerrigan. I never expected them to bring in anybody ever because number one, here's a couple things. Number one, I mean, they basically ruined Haskins' trade value.
Sure.
First of all, and second of all, I mean, it's either him as the third stringer or Steven Montez, and they can't just have two quarterbacks.
Right.
So I didn't really. My thought was always they're just going to let him ride Pine for the rest of the season at least. And in terms of Kerrigan, I mean, I think I mentioned this last time on the show maybe, but he's he's a Dan Snyder favorite. He's well liked. He's a team captain, or at least he was. I don't know if he is this year, but he's the sack leader. I don't think organizationally they really wanted to let him go just for a draft pick.
Sure.
That wasn't going to be anything but a low round draft pick. So that's Kerrigan. And in terms of the receivers and stuff, yeah, granted they need some because our receiver group, blows. But remember, this is a 2-5 team.
Right.
Ron Rivera can talk all he wants about playoffs and blah blah blah, and you guys can get excited about it, but I'm not excited about a 2-5 team. And this team sucks outside of playing a bunch of weak sister NFC East teams. So I don't think they were going to blow draft capital on a season that's not going to amount to much. Even if they get a playoff game, they're going to get blown out by somebody. So I just didn't think they were going to do it.
We are kind of in like the Sun Belt Conference right now with the NFC East.
It's like somebody has to go,
right?
Kind of thing. And sure, it could Washington eke through? Yeah, absolutely, at 5-11 or something or whatever. Yeah, but that doesn't mean that the Washington management needs to go out and waste draft picks bringing in some receiver somebody else doesn't want.
Yeah, logically, I'm not totally surprised. And the whole restriction where if you trade for a guy, he's got to like quarantine for a week or whatever. That's
the other thing.
That dampened the whole trade deadline for everybody, I think. Because we all saw in the last couple of years that trades got a little hot and heavy lately in the NFL, almost like in baseball. People
not that high,
not quite, but almost. It was heading that direction where you had maybe 5-6 teams making, or 5-6 major trades at the deadline. Last couple of years.
Yeah. We published, no one, our writer, no one published, courtesy of me asking him to do it, a NFL trade summary, deadline summary thing. And you're right. It was even for the NFL trade deadline, it was a bunch of nothing. The Ravens brought in, what's the defensive end's name?
Yeah.
That was about the only one that was of any consequence at all. Well, so yeah, I do think COVID had a lot to do with it.
The Jets traded their running back, but that was a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, but so what? Yeah. It's the Jets,
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, it's really been quiet compared to the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Let's I don't really know if there's not a lot to talk about because nothing happened. So
no, it didn't happen, and that's the end of it.
Yeah, let's move on. Quick little nice story. Terry McLaurin is now Captain Scary Terry, because the players unanimously voted him as team captain.
That sounds like a pirate.
Yes. Captain Scary Terry?
Yeah.
Yeah, kids show pirate, right? Like someone with like a Saturday morning cartoon show where he comes out and introduces like old Bugs Bunny cartoons.
Yeah, he's got a cartoon, he's a cartoon and he's got a parrot on his shoulder.
Yeah, of course. Well, it's parrot, eye patch, peg leg, whole thing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Maybe very bombastic. But yes. So Terry McLaurin is now a team captain. People kind of saw that video of him after the game for Dallas, that speech he gave. Very, kind of motivating for the other players. So good for him that he's kind of getting that role now. Another thing I wanted to mention that wasn't on our list, but I'll just throw it out there. The players gave Ron Rivera a game ball, apparently, after practice or like when they came back from break because of him completing his cancer treatment.
Oh, well, that's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, certainly. a bit underwhelmed by Ron's performance here, but
Sure.
certainly, I mean, the idea that he simultaneously underwent serious cancer treatment while coaching an NFL team says he's one tough dude.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable that he was able to do that. And as far as Terry McLaurin, captain, yeah, I mean, you want your best non-punter,
Right.
your best non-Trust Way player to be a captain, and that's certainly Terry McLaurin. And that speech was outstanding, well deserved.
It was understated but outstanding at the same time.
Yeah, I don't know if this captain stuff means anything in terms of, ultimate results on the field or whatever, but it's certainly an honor that I think he earned, and that's good. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, that is an interesting point. I don't really know if that has an impact on players as much as we'd like to think it does.
You know what I would seriously consider doing is I would have a coin flip contest in training camp and pick the dude who can pick the most coin flips, who has the highest percentage of successful selections, and make him our captain, because this team always loses coin flips.
Yeah.
But if you have a guy who's like abnormal, like precocious about coin flips, he's hitting them at like 80%, that guy needs to be our captain.
That would actually be pretty funny if that was the logic. It's just... It's some guy who's like, this is a 1987 quarter. I know these come out heads more often than tails.
Exactly. That's who we need. I don't care if it's like the backup defensive tackle or whatever. That guy needs to be our captain, because that's an advantage. Yes, so, Ron, if you're listening, you can have that idea for free.
Okay. Steve GM. There you go.
There you go. All right, I'll give you that one for free.
Let's move on to the meat of the show, which is going to be our game versus Washington versus New York.
Yep.
I feel like we just did this show, Steve.
That's because we did.
Yeah, we literally just did, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Obviously, the first game against the Giants did not come out our way, lost by 1 point. Giants just lost by 2 to Tampa Bay the other night, which was kind of a crazy close game when you think about Tampa Bay should have kind of steamrolled them. But
maybe the Giants have gotten better, kids.
Yeah. Well, at least their defense looks like they have.
Yeah.
But I want to start with their offense, because I saw an article, opinion piece in the New York Post. They were writing how the Giants should consider benching Daniel Jones after that performance, because we've talked about this before. He's a turnover machine. He really is. And he had 2 picks last week. I think he's got, 9 on the season? You have the numbers, I'm sure, somewhere.
Yeah, no, I do have the numbers here. And he has got 7 touchdowns and 9 interceptions, 73.9 quarterback rating this year.
Does he have a lot of fumbles, too? Do you have that?
Give me 1 second. I don't put that in our stat package, but I can.
That's fine.
Real fast.
That's fine. I think but regardless, he's already +2 on the touchdown to interception ratio. That's not
correct.
Good.
And he does. He has 5 fumbles on the year.
Right. So that's 14 turnovers, and we're only halfway through the
turnover
season.
Machine. Look, Daniel Jones kind of sucks. I mean,
I don't think it's kind of. Yeah. I think like if Haskins got benched, Jones should have gotten benched by now.
Well, but see, the Giants have a better plan. The Giants
they do
have a long-term plan in mind, and like Ron, I know about everybody disagrees with me, and I don't care. Matter of fact, that makes me happy. But I think the Giants had a better plan to give this kid a shot. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe by the end of the year he's still the same. And his numbers aren't really that far off from Haskins, by the way, for those of you wondering. They're in the same ballpark. But I think the Giants are just more tolerant about it, because they're sort of seeing the forest through the trees. And to a certain extent, I think Ron Rivera really didn't by benching Haskins. He benched him after the first 4 games, which, by the way, were all tough games. And yeah, sure, the team's better now, but long term, I don't know. Whereas the Giants are giving him a shot. He's not really proving worthy of the shot,
Sure. Well, I mean, I think, in terms of the culture up there, they're not in the desperation mode that maybe we are in the DC area, because, Eli got rings,
The Giants have been a mess, though. Their GM, Dave Gettleman, seems
they've been a mess the last, 5 seasons, but before that, they had some real success with Coughlin. So... We haven't seen anything like that in a long, long time.
Yeah, they won Super Bowls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But So maybe they're a little more patient, is my point, because they've had some success recently. Um, but looking at the rest of the Giants' offense, it really is an underwhelming offense, just kind of like we are here in DC. Alfred Morris was starting for them at running, or not starting, but playing for them at running back last week, which I didn't even know he was still, in the league. I thought
He
he had
wasn't in
retired
the
by
league
now.
until he got that shot.
Yeah. Well, I think he was on their practice squad or something. It was some
Well, and the
low
reason
end
for
kind of
this
thing.
is Devontae Freeman has an ankle injury, and
Right.
Devontae Freeman hasn't been getting it done anyway. I mean, the leading rusher on the Giants' offense is Daniel Jones.
Right. 300 yards.
Yeah,
A
and
good chunk of that came on that one big run he had against us last time.
well, yeah, and he had a long one against Tampa too. He rushed for 92 yards against Tampa.
Wow, really? I didn't
Yeah,
even think
right.
about that part. Yeah.
Yeah. And he's averaging 9.3 yards per attempt.
Hmm.
But he's not, it depends on the game. I mean, if you look at his game logs on what he's really doing, he's not rushing for a ton of yards every game. It's just a rush here, a rush there. He's athletic. I mean, it's sort of like Josh Allen. The Bills, Josh Allen can't hit the broadside of a barn, or at least he couldn't come out of college. I didn't really like that aspect of his game, but he's very athletic. That's sort of what Daniel Jones is to the Giants. He kind
Right.
of makes up for some of his flaws by being able to run a little bit here and there, more so than Haskins ever did for sure. And the other thing is, I mean, the Giants just their running game just bites. Without Saquon Barkley, it's just awful.
Well, it's Saquon and their continual issues they have with their offensive line.
Yeah.
I mean, and we saw it when we played them. Our defense did pretty good against that O line. I know they didn't get a bunch of sacks like people want, but they were disrupting Jones most of the day last time.
And they
Um,
drafted Andrew Thomas to be the left tackle, and he's not
right,
really working out
right,
already.
and,
You
they
know,
drafted who's
Will
the guard
Hernandez.
last year?
Will
Yeah,
Hernandez.
yeah. They've spent serious assets in the draft to try and fix that line for years, and they can't find the right people.
Hey, I
And
was an Andrew Thomas fan coming out of
right,
college. I'm
I was
kind
a
of glad they
Hernandez
did.
fan when he came out
Yeah,
too. I like
Hernandez is
both of
doing
them.
okay,
Yeah, yeah, but he's just one guy. Like you need
right?
five. I
Which
mean,
they don't
we know
have.
that problem.
Do we? Oh yeah, we do.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. So that line is, it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how much of that game just 3 weeks ago plays into like what we saw or what we'll see this week. Because you said it, when we started, maybe they've gotten a little better. I think that Washington's gotten a little better too. I think we started seeing them gel versus Dallas, and I know Dallas is bad, but you're starting to see some consistency with how the defense was all playing together, how the offense was playing together.
Well, I don't
Um,
think you can underestimate the fact that consistency you're seeing is because they played a 1-17 and the
sure.
horrible 2-5 Dallas Cowboys. I'm not willing to say they're getting consistent. I'm willing to say that they're capable enough to get the better of even weaker teams.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind
And
of
even then, they still lost again to the Giants, by the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and that loss, I mean, if you're breaking that game down, it really came down to Kyle Allen. He threw a pick six, and then he had another turnover that gave the Giants like field goal range right
Well, yeah,
away.
and then Ronnie didn't, with that
Yeah,
whole
yeah, and Rivera screwed up a couple things
yeah,
too
yeah,
in game management, but uh, like really that game could have gone either way with just one of those turnovers not
it
happening.
it could have.
Yeah. Um. Well, let's switch to that side now.
Hold
Uh.
on, wait, hold
Well,
on, wait.
sorry.
We'd be remiss in failing to mention here that they do have a bunch of decent receivers. They've really got kind of three of them. Okay, Darius Slayton, Sterling Shepard, Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram being tight end.
Right.
He's had some good games against Washington. We all know about Washington's history with tight ends.
Sure.
A great matchup to watch is going to be Darius Slayton and Kendall Fuller.
Mm-hmm.
If you're looking for that's going to be a highlight matchup, for the week is that. But Slayton is putting up big numbers. He's got 485 yards on the season, averaging over 15 yards per catch, 32 receptions, 56 targets. Um, So that's between. I would say between those three guys, that is the Giants. That is the
Well,
Giants'
and
passing
let's
game.
not overlook Golden Tate's there too, and he's a solid
Yeah, he's
depth
solid.
guy. I mean, he's kind of one of these journeyman. What I don't know if you want to call him like a mercenary type.
I think that's
But
doing him a little bit of a disservice.
well, but
Yeah.
like he's been on what 4 or 5 different teams now.
Yes.
He doesn't get long term contracts, but he performs fairly well everywhere he goes.
Yeah. Now, surprisingly enough, the Giants' numbers stink. Which I'm just being facetious. I mean, they're 1-7. They're supposed to stink. Their numbers look a lot like Washington's. To be honest,
Yeah.
the numbers look a lot like Washington pre-Dallas.
Yes.
They only scored 145 points. Their red zone percentage is 40%, which is second to last in the league. The only thing that is above average is their rushing yards per attempt. That's because of Daniel Jones. All the rest of their offensive numbers are just toilet bowl, with the exception of Slayton. Slayton's is a top tier, roughly, wide receiver.
Yeah, he's close to what 500 yards or something like
Yeah,
that.
485. So what would I do? If you're playing the Giants, I would blitz Daniel Jones relentlessly. If they want to try and let him beat Washington with his legs, have at it. Try. But I would certainly disrupt the passing game as much as I could and blitz, blitz, blitz. And
Yeah.
maybe you have to change tact in the middle of the game if he's really burning you on the ground. But I would make him as uncomfortable as possible because he's just not that good and he's young. His completion percentage is low anyway. You get a bunch of guys in his face. I think that's the way to beat the Giants.
Yeah, I think the game plan they had last time was not a bad game plan. I mean, obviously, like you hold them to 20, and again, 14 of those you could say are on the offense.
Right.
Like that was a good day for this defense. So I'm not changing too much. I think you got to change just enough to throw them off because they've seen that plan now. So, and they didn't blitz a lot. I feel like that game. I didn't go back and
I'm
watch
just
it.
saying
Yeah.
that's what I would do.
Yeah. I would definitely be trying to bring pressure. I would send guys from the backside a lot. Go after that left tackle spot because that's a weak point on their line. Just keep targeting their weak points, and I think you'll get to Jones a few times.
I mean, weirdly, well, we'll get to the Giants defense. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say that.
We can switch sides.
Okay.
I don't have anything else to add on our offense.
Okay. So weirdly, now the Giants again, this is sort of like Washington. Their defense is better than their offense. They're 21st in points scored with 199, but really all those points came against the 49ers, Dallas, and Tampa, and the Steelers. They've also held a bunch of teams to below 20. They've held the Bears, the Rams, Washington. The Eagles only scored 22. So
Tampa put 25 up.
Tampa put 25 up, and Tampa had kind of a weirdly bad game, that game. So I think the Giants' defense is another one, kind of like Washington's, that can do well against lesser teams.
Right.
And so I think a key for this game for Washington is offensive efficiency. Kyle Allen needs to have a decent day, high completion percentage, but more importantly, this success that they found running the ball against Dallas somehow needs to continue against the Giants.
Absolutely. And, I think the key to that is you got to keep them off balance. You got to put in some of this gadget stuff. You've got to keep, don't just run on first down, but keep the runs pretty even, 50-50, first, second, third down, just so they're not, teeing off on anything. Be unpredictable. I think one of the biggest ruts you see offensive play callers get into now is this, well, I'm going to run on this down with this distance because that's what I do.
That was Jay Gruden's thing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That was Jay's thing. That's a million guys' thing.
And I think that's part of that is an analytics thing, and they're looking at, stats and stuff. No, I agree with you completely. You need to keep them off balance. And the other thing they need to do is they need more sustained drives. Mm-hmm. Kyle Allen has been better about that than was Haskins, but the team's still terrible on third down conversions. 28th in the league. They've got to do better on third downs. than
I
they
know
have.
they did well last game. And they did okay on third downs versus the Giants, didn't they? Or am I wrong?
Well, I don't have
They're
that
getting
in front of
better
me.
with Allen there. Is my point.
Again, it's two bad teams.
Yeah. Well, this is a third bad team.
It is.
So,
It's a bad team again.
yes.
Um, if you look at what Antonio Gibson has done, he's, I wouldn't say quietly, but from a league perspective, he's sort of quietly having a better year than I think NFL observers would really know, just because of the
Right.
Washington so bad. Excuse me. I mean, he averaged over 5 yards a carry against the Browns, over 4 against Arizona, over 6 against Dallas. Yeah, he's
Right.
had some down games, but that's mainly when Washington's playing good teams. I mean, he's getting the job done by rookie standards at least. You know,
I,
I think he's quietly becoming more consistent than he was.
I think so too, and I don't think he'll break 1,000 yards just
Oh no.
rushing the ball this year.
Oh, not
But
at all.
I think he has a chance. He's going to get used more in the second half of the season.
I don't think he has any chance at that.
No, no. I think he has a chance at breaking 1,000 combined, though,
Oh,
rushing
I
and
mean,
receiving.
oh, well, yeah, that might
Yeah,
be because
yeah. All
rushing
purpose.
alone, he's only got 371 yards
No, no,
rushing.
no. Yeah, but I think all-purpose yards, he has a good shot at breaking that over 1,000. It'll be something like 650 rushing and 350 receiving yards. But
Yeah, that's probably fair.
I think he can do something like that. When you know what, you need to have guys who can break that marker of 1,000 as receivers and running backs. Like you need a couple of those guys for a team's offense to be
I mean,
effective.
he's got 147 receiving yards, and so together that's 470. So that's 540 something.
To go
No,
in
500.
9 games.
That's not right.
Yeah,
520.
30 something.
Yeah, roughly. Yeah.
Yeah,
So he's
yeah,
got a shot at it.
yeah. He's got a
And
good
we're
shot.
only, we're only in game 8 too, so
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
not halfway there.
Right, right. We're almost halfway there. So it's very
Right.
easy to do that math in your head. Even if you're bad at math. So, um, yeah. But I think we will see a lot more of Gibson going forward and less of McKissick and uh, yeah. I think the plan should be that you want to work him into becoming either your number one or a 1B kind of guy.
He already is,
Yeah. Well,
realistically.
yeah. But you want him to be a better version of that than what he is right now.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and he's still a young guy, and he's still
Sure.
not experienced. And everybody, don't forget that he didn't really play much, running back in college. So he's still learning, and you can see it in his game. You
Right.
can see it in his field vision, how he hits the holes. He needs to improve on that, and he is getting better. But with the status of Washington's offensive line and stuff, I
Yeah.
mean, it's probably about all he can expect. But I think the man has a bright future for sure.
Oh, for sure, for sure. And one person we should mention, Steve Sims, is out of or IR, and he's in that 3 week period where they can activate him again. I don't know. I don't think they've announced if there's any plans for him to play this week. I don't think
No, and
there
as a
are.
matter of fact, they didn't even put him on the injury report, which means, yeah, normally, they would have to show him limited if he's on the active and practicing.
Right.
He would be showing limited, and he wasn't. By the way, since I have it in front of me, injuries Wednesday: John Christian, Smith Williams, and Montez Sweat both with concussions. Logan Thomas, Isaiah Wright, all limited. It's Wright has a shoulder, Thomas is ankle, Christian is a knee. And for the Giants, the DNPs were Devontae Freeman, Ryan Lewis, Golden Tate. Oh, Golden Tate's not injury related, so he's healthy. So it's really
Oh,
just
okay.
Freeman and Lewis.
Hmm.
Freeman, if it does, you don't realize they put not injury related when it's they just had something to do. You got a traffic ticket, had to go to court, something like that,
Right.
whatever.
Right.
So he's not injured. So
Gotcha.
that's injuries.
Okay. Well, anyway. Who were we talking about before that? Steve Sims.
Steve Sims.
Yeah, I'm hoping he can come back and maybe
I think
provide
it's
a little bit of a spark. Maybe not this week. Maybe that's a next week thing.
yeah, I think it's more of a next week thing. Because I
Okay.
mean, notice that they brought Brandon Scherf in 2 seconds after he was eligible.
Right.
Because they desperately need him. But to be perfectly honest with you, I mean, sure, I'd rather have Sims than not have Sims. but he's not exactly setting the world on fire. Okay, he's a nice player. He's certainly outplayed his undrafted free agent status.
Right.
Undrafted free agent out of Kansas status for sure. I'm not sure if he's all that different from Isaiah Wright, to be perfectly honest.
Well, very different body types. One
I
is
know, but
a
in terms of
yeah.
results,
Oh yeah, yeah. In terms of results, I think that they actually are very different or similar style player, though one is, a bigger physical guy and one
right?
is the jitterbug. Um, but yeah, they're both slot guys who are gonna get you short stuff and try and
So
turn
I
it
don't
into
think
something. Yeah.
Sims coming back again. I'd rather have him than not, and I like him, but I
Right.
don't know if that's going to make a huge difference on the offense in its
Probably. I mean,
success.
probably you're probably right that it won't. But we need all the help we can get. So
No doubt about that. You
yeah.
want to do, as long as we're talking about Washington's offense, let's just do a little Kyle Allen checkup, shall we?
Sure.
Since, Kyle has now started and played 3 games this year, he is 55 of 80, 548 yards, 68.8% completion percentage, 4 TDs, 1 interception, quarterback rating of 99.4.
That's pretty
So
good.
that's decent. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not throwing a lot of interceptions, not a lot of turnovers. That's good. High completion percentage. It's very short passes, you know, and
Right.
whatnot, air yards at least, because he's benefits a lot from some of these guys, especially McLaurin, getting a lot of air yards or yards after catch, rather.
Oh, sure, sure.
But Kyle
I mean,
Allen's doing okay. There's no doubt in my mind that if you're looking at the short term, Allen's the way to go,
oh yeah, I think that I'm with you there. Unless
if
he
that's
gets
what you
hurt,
want.
he's gonna finish the season up for you.
I would.
Uh,
I think Ron's going to put Alex in if Kyle gets hurt.
yeah,
I
yeah,
think he's
yeah.
totally done with Haskins.
I do too. Even though he said something to the like diplomatic, oh, but Haskins is working out hard and all that stuff today.
Well, we
But
remember I asked Chris Russell,
yeah,
about it because I still think I'm right. I still think Ron sort of agreed to give Haskins a shot. I think it was always in his head he was going to get one. He was going to get 1 quarter of the season.
right.
And if he didn't show something, he was out.
Hmm.
I think that was kind of always the plan in Ron's head, even if he's never going to admit that. It doesn't matter now anyway. But I think that was always the plan with Haskins. And I think he wanted to start Kyle Allen from day one, just really couldn't for internal political reasons, namely
Right.
the owner.
Well, I mean, we saw that 5 years ago, 6 years ago, when Jay Gruden came in and he was, hey, go fix Robert Griffin. He's like,
He was done with Griffin from like moment one.
right. I'm sure, those two personality wise probably just oil and water too. That probably didn't help.
Someday
um,
I'm going to go compare how many draft picks Washington's ruined compared to like the Jets and the Browns, because those are the other two.
oh, that's a tough one.
Maybe I'll
Like
write a history of failure article one of these
history of
days.
failure at quarterback.
Well, there's no doubt the Browns have trumped everybody at
Oh,
that,
yeah, because they spend a first round pick on a quarterback every 3 years.
and it always fails.
Yeah,
Yeah, but just like taken as a whole, who's worse? I kind of did that a little bit, but anyway, that's another topic for another day. So
that
that's
is
your
an
Kyle
interesting
Allen.
one.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's your Kyle Allen update. Look, I think yes, the Giants have gotten better. Yes, they played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to sort of a stalemate. Um, but these games with Washington and the Giants tend to go to one of two ways. It's either a squeaker or a Giants blowout.
Right.
And I don't think this is going to be a Giants blowout. They may not win the game, but I think that Washington is certainly a little better than it was. They're playing another NFC East weak sister school team, so they ought to do better,
Right.
on it. So I think we're going to see, at a minimum, I don't know how much running game we're going to see, but I think we're going to see Kyle Allen have a pretty decent day.
I'd like to think so. I'd like to look at what they like, and I know, like we said, Dallas is a terrible team. But if you look at how they were starting to get in the rhythm of their offense versus Dallas, and that's something that they weren't doing early on, especially with Haskins. Like Allen's getting the ball, he's making his read, he's throwing it, and it's going pop, pop, pop. It's not he's patting the ball, he's trying to figure things out. He knows where he's supposed to go with it, and he just goes with it.
I'm just not willing to give him that much credit. I mean, I think it's entirely a function of who they're playing.
I think it's partly a function of who they're playing, but I think it's also he knows what he's supposed to be doing.
Right.
And that helps so much.
Yeah. The reason why it's important that Kyle Allen has a good day is that the Giants actually are only giving up 3.7 yards per carry on the ground.
Right.
The one thing they do well on defense, because they don't do much well, that's not just mediocre, at least, it's rushing yards per attempt. They are holding running backs down. Now, yeah, Antonio had a great game against Dallas. Dallas had the worst run defense in football by a lot.
Right.
Terrible. So I don't think it's reasonable to expect another 6.4 yards per attempt from Antonio Gibson this week. I think it's going to be back down to, less than 4. So it's going to be important to have Kyle Allen do well.
I think if you want Gibson in the game versus the Giants, you need to get him in the passing game more. That's the one thing a guy like this has the advantage of. If you're going against a good or a good run-stopping team, get him in the passing game. That's the whole point.
Get him on the move, jet sweeps.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
That kind of thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and hopefully that's what we kind of see. I'm sure, now that Ron's done with the treatments and stuff like that, he can focus a little bit more. I'm sure we'll see some new focus from this coaching staff.
Hey, look, Ron's got to get something done.
Yep.
Because he's been maddeningly inconsistent with some of his messaging this year and what he's told the media. At times, he said, he's sort of hinted about a long-term plan, but he also expressly said he knows the defenses or the NFC East is weak and he wants to make a run at it. Well, we're in the heart of that now. You've got the Giants, Detroit Lions, Bengals, Dallas coming up. He better do well in these next 4 games, and it starts this Sunday against the Giants.
Right. Yeah. Basically, if you lose the Giants, I think it's over, and you got to change that plan again. If you beat them, okay, then you're talking about we're 3-1 in the East. I think, frankly, if you just go 5-1 in this conference, you pretty much are locking up this conference for that championship.
Realistically, even if they lose every other game, which they easily could.
Right. But that's my point. Like, I think this game is actually for who's going to be the most likely conference champion.
Well, no, the Giants
NFC
are not going to win. The Giants are not, under any circumstances, going to win the division. They're not. They're 1-7.
It's such a mess of a division. They still could.
No, they can't. I'm not saying mathematically they can't, but no, they can't. The division is going to be,
Philly. Dallas is
done.
done. I mean, they're playing Cooper Rush and some other dude.
They're 2-5 though. I mean, it'll all shake out in the next couple weeks.
Yeah,
but again, either way, it's like you're king of the fools, a little bit.
Yeah, congratulations, you played your way out of getting a good quarterback in the draft. That's what
I guess my point here is that Ron threw away their first round draft pick last year to have a shot at this year, and if he doesn't get it done and he threw away the draft pick, just doesn't look good. That's
no, that's not good planning.
Right,
and that is a risk you run when your coach is a GM. All right, let's finish this up. Predictions.
Okay.
I think you and I are probably both going to go with a very similar number, is my guess.
I'll go first then.
All right, you go first.
Yeah, I'm going to predict for the first time this year, I think, I'm going to predict a Washington win here. It's at home. And granted, I think there's going to be some fans in the stands. Am I right?
3,200 people or something like that.
Yeah. So cheer your butts off, you 3,000 people. But point is, for whatever very tiny advantage that is now, they'll have that. And I just can't see the Giants suck too. And I can't see them sweeping Washington this year. I just don't think either team is good enough to sweep the other. So I'm going to predict kind of a low-scoring, squeaker-type game of like a 21-20.
Okay.
No, I'm not going to. No, we're not going to score. There's no way they'll score 3 touchdowns. I'm going to predict 2017.
2017?
Yes.
Washington. Okay. Because, like I said, I think you and I are on the same wavelength because – I was literally going to go 21-17 as my prediction as well. I think 3 touchdowns is possible for this offense.
Tall order, man.
It is, but it isn't. McLaurin can get behind these guys, and he can get an easy one at some
They've
point.
got some good. They've got James Bradbury as a decent underrated corner.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, I think Terry's a very, very good receiver.
Yeah,
So
Captain Scary Terry has, by the way, in case y'all don't realize this, has faced a gauntlet of
yeah,
corners this year. Every week, it's another elite Pro Bowl corner for this guy. So yeah, he can definitely handle Bradbury. He's been through the ringer with corners already.
yeah, and He's already been through a gauntlet, and he's on pace for still like 1,300 yards. So I trust him. I mean, I don't remember what he did versus the Giants last time, but I think he'll get a touchdown. We'll power one in, a goal line run type thing, and then maybe one kind of red zone normal passing play.
You really
You know,
want to know? He
yeah.
was 12 targets, 7 receptions, 74 yards.
Okay, solid day for him.
Solid day.
Yeah. So I would expect a little bit better since we're at home. That's
Okay.
it. Yeah. All right, guys. Glad to be back. Glad to have some football. A little bit of mindless distraction. I think everybody needs that these days.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. So later, guys.
All right.